Okay, this is part 2 of my review of the Western Digital 6 terabyte MyCloud Home Duo. I've had a little bit of time to work with it, and I've discovered a couple of things that might be useful to you. First off, I was finally able to figure out how to format it as a full 6 terabyte drive. I guess they had it set up to sort of be a backup as a backup, which kind of was a little too redundant for me. I wanted the extra space because I have more computers to back up. And so let me show you what it is I figured out. The first thing I need to do is I do have to launch Western Digital software, the Discovery software. I need to get that rolling. As I don't have that running in the background by default, and I don't install it on any of the computers that are on the network. I'm going to go ahead and go to mycloud.com. Okay, so here's MyCloud. Go over here to Settings. Click My Storage Device here. Go down here to Device Configuration. And what I discovered is you have a choice between RAID 1 and JBOD. And RAID 1 is what keeps your drive configured into 2 separate drives. I believe it makes a backup of your backup onto the second drive using 2 different file systems. So what I did was I switched it to JBOD, and that caused the drive to reformat. The LED on the front starts to pulsate slowly, and it took about 20-30 minutes for it to reformat the drive. But once that was done, I was able to map it as a single drive. I mean, the MyCloud Duo is up right now because I have Discovery open, but I've also got Discovery configured to not start on system startup. I turned that off so it doesn't start on its own. I'm going to go ahead and quit. And now the Y drive disappears, and I just have the regular MyCloud. And this is a network drive, the one I discovered using Angry IP Scanner. And I've done some backups on it so far, and it's worked really well. I've got a 13 gigabyte backup of just my basic data files. Office Manager files are in here too. Of course, the one thing I don't like is that it is publicly accessible to anyone on the network. So if I want to secure these backups, I have to use the encryption method and use a password in order to create the backup file, which is easy enough to do. Also, I decided to use a Corbium backup. Let me show you that real quick. I'm really impressed with this. It lets me select the number of copies of backups to keep. I'm assuming that rolls backups as the older ones get deleted as newer ones are created. It has a lot of features. One of the features I like is it allows me to mail the logs to an email address. I just configured mail for a Gmail account that I have and use port 587. Everything else is pretty simple. It lets you do a test to make sure the account works. And I do get the log files in my mail every morning, so I can know whether or not the backup was successful and what errors there were. It allows me to use a standard zip compression. Let me go back into the folder here. My files, backup, daily. If I try to open this using Windows internal zip, it takes forever. So I have 7-zip installed, so I'm going to go ahead and open the archive using 7-zip. And that's very quick. I can go in here, I can look at my documents. I'm real impressed with this. As far as backup, this is all I wanted, just a simple means to back up data files. I'm going to probably create images of all the drives or all the computers at some point. There's plenty of room to store at least one image for each computer, so I can have a fallback sort of full installation of every computer. Once I was able to configure the drive as a single drive, we'll go ahead and look at properties for this. Basically 5.9 million bytes or 5.4 terabytes in computer terms. Once I was able to configure it for a full 6 terabyte drive, I was much happy. And after my first backup, I'm using very little space on this drive. So I've still got 2 other computers to back up, but it looks pretty promising so far. Like I said, the only issue that I have with it so far is I can't create secure shares. So if I want information to be private, I have to either encrypt the compressed files, or I might wind up using something like, see if I got it here. Yeah, VeraCrypt is a program that you can download and use, and it allows you to create sort of a giant file that gets mounted as a folder where you can store things, and it keeps those items encrypted. So when you shut down VeraCrypt, everything is encrypted. And I do have a small folder I use for just storing some basic private stuff in there. A real small 1 gigabyte drive that I use for storing private stuff. I should also point out that when I had originally accessed this drive, if you remembered, I'd access it from the IP address, the .4 address, which could give you the access to the public network share. When I also tried to access it using the Windows host name, it originally kept giving me an error. So what I had to do was keep accessing the IP address over and over. I'm not sure if that helped, or if it made Windows finally aware of the host name, but eventually the host name did come up. And then I was able to right click and then map it as a network drive. But I thought you should know that, because that is an issue that comes up. I prefer accessing devices like this by host name, because occasionally IP addresses do change. So if there's a name mapped to an IP address and the IP address changes, sometimes the name will update itself to the new IP address. Therefore, you don't have to go into every computer and change the IP address manually. So yeah, definitely try to use the host name. But yeah, so far so good on this drive. Once I was able to figure out that JBOD setting under the device settings or device configuration and set up the drive as a single 6 terabyte drive, I was able to do everything I needed to do. So I guess this kind of improves the rating. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I guess definitely not 5. You know, I would like a better means of controlling the shares, and I'm pretty certain Western Digital has an enterprise version of this drive, which does give you that kind of control, but this is the home edition. So as far as home editions are concerned, yeah, it's a great drive, definitely. You know, I definitely recommend it for the average home user. Just you have to know a little bit how to configure it and know what it is that you're getting, because one method does expose your files to the internet and the other method just kind of keeps them on your local network only. And it's the local network method that I wanted to use, and I was able to do that, so kudos to me. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button, as I do videos on a regular basis. Also, consider supporting this channel by clicking the Patreon link below. Every little bit helps, even $1 a month, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. Take care and have a good day.